Success is waking up every day and enjoying what you do, whether that's career or raising a kid or both, or I think all aspects. It should be loving every moment that you're awake.
Good morning, everyone. This is Jarrett Basson with Mark McCain, and you are listening to Triumph Every Day, where we discuss the journeys that shaped the lives of our guests and how it brought them to where they are today. And today we have Shelby Supinger. Supinger?
Yes.
Supinger.
Nailed it.
Soup.
All right, cool. We got it. That's good. Shelby is. You are in the area, correct?
I'm from Independence. I currently live off of Buttermilk over in Crescent Springs.
Oh, very cool.
In northern Kentucky.
Yeah. So you've always been in northern Kentucky?
I was actually born in Minnesota, but moved down here with my family. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
I was 3, so this is all I really know.
Before the accent
Yeah.
sets in. That's nice.
Yeah, right.
Good.
That Minnesota accent.
You betcha.
I know, right? That's oddly enough. I was just in Ireland very, very recently, and there's a lot of similarities between Minnesota and Irish accent. It's weird. It's a weird. I just heard the combination of certain words. It's like that sounds very awkward and Midwestern. But were you kind of let's walk through your life just a little bit. So born in Minnesota, went through, moved to Independence, and then kind of where'd you go to school, and where'd you end up with that?
We were in Minnesota for my dad's work, and we moved back down here to grow up around a family. This is where my mom and dad's family are from. I went to Simon Kenton High School all 4 years out in Independence, where I ran track and cross country all 4 years. I was a hurdler, so kind of after high school I wanted to stay home for college, so I went to Thomas More my freshman year, where I ran track. I actually only did the indoor season because I was pre-nursing at the time, and they actually have you take like 20-ish hours, and I was like just kind of in over my head, so didn't want to do track anymore. You know, school was why I was going to school, not to be an athlete per se, so kind of prioritized that. And then after track ended, I was still in the gym, and I just wanted to have something to be competitive in again, and that's kind of how I found bodybuilding and competing. And I actually did a short online program, like a challenge type thing for lifting, and that's kind of recomped my body weight and started prepping for my first bikini competition in 2016, so that was 2 years ago now. And I transferred to NKU after I kind of fell in love with fitness, so that's where I can study exercise science, which is what I'll have my degree in now.
So no more nursing.
No more nursing. I actually became a nurse's aide and decided it wasn't for me. I respect everyone that can do it, but it was just not for me.
What was that moment that was like, this is not for me? Was there one moment or a combination?
I think it was a combination. I was working 12-hour shifts, which was the only option at the time. So I was working 12s, going to school, working out. Just wasn't functioning mentally.
Still had to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's there's a lot obviously to be wrapped up in that, and we have a couple nurses here, and their lives are different, to say the least.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when you're talking about working 12s and having to kind of. I know a couple people who have gone back and forth between day and night shift. So you do like your 3/12s night shift, and then take a couple days off, and then have to redirect your body in towards day shifts.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just
you have to flip a switch. And
no,
not everyone
thank
can
you.
do that.
No, thank you.
How did the first competition go? What was that experience like?
So I look back now and I'm like, I was such a noob. I was so naive. I had like a mutual friend as an online coach, so my whole entire 16-week prep was via online check-ins, and I kind of just did everything it told me to do. I did as much research I could on myself, because obviously this area is not huge in bodybuilding, but there's a decent amount, but still just not a lot of resources. So I was about 150 when I started that prep pounds, and then I got down to like 136. I did lose a lot of muscle mass looking back, just because I was doing a ton of steady state. I kind of got a little consumed in being in a deficit, as opposed to muscle maintenance and keeping my protein up, things like that. But the show went well. Like, obviously I loved the process because I did more, but I got 5th place in both classes that I did, and bikinis by height. So if you've never won an overall, you're in certain height classes based on.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was by height. Actually, I know nothing about the entire world of it. I'm actually very interested in the process. So, kind of how does that work as far as competition goes? Are there local, then regional, and national type meets?
Right. Yeah. So basically, there's multiple federations first. So I compete in the NPC, which is the National Physique Committee. It's kind of the most recognized, and that's the pathway you have to go to get your IFBB Pro card or to ever compete in like the Olympia, things like that. But there are natural federations. The NPC is not drug tested. The first show that I did was drug tested, so there are far and few between drug tested NPC shows, but it's just the biggest, most recognized federation. And there's plenty of males and females that do go pro in the NPC. Staying natural. So I'll always stick true to that. But I didn't.
So that's something that's very for your values and things like that.
It was important to me that, especially my first show, be a drug tested one, because it was like you do all these weeks of work, and I don't want to be up against some experienced person that also has drugs in the in the factor, or is a factor. So
how prevalent is it?
To
your experience,
more than you would think. I said how I was like so naive, and I mean I've been going to a couple corporate gyms in Florence around here for a while, and you're like, oh, no one uses steroids, blah blah blah, but there's plenty of usage, and it's sad. I don't want to say it's sad, but especially people that don't even get up on the stage, and it's just for their day to day, how they walk around and look, and
there you go.
It's crazy. I mean, I just can't.
In the world of weightlifting, in the sport of weightlifting, Olympic weightlifting, snatch and clean and jerk, it's pretty crazy to see, especially in the Olympic level, these people who are getting busted 3 or 4 years after the fact, and now they have to go back and shift the medal count. These are at the next Olympics. So and again, it's USAW's done a really good job with basically leading the way, paving the way for a lot of those like the safe sport and clean sport athletes that they really want to. I want to be as strong as I possibly can in the most natural way possible. Right. I think there's something to be said about that. Having some values, and I'm not trash talking to people that do that.
Right.
It's just not for me.
Exactly.
I think that's the misconception that like I'm against those people. That I think those people are bad. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. It just
there's a bunch of different angles to look at it, right? It's almost like if you look at baseball, it's like you can almost see why the guys would do it. Yeah. Because it's like all of a sudden it's like, hey, if this helps me get my next contract, which is $100 million, but it's harder to understand why the people just at your local gym are, just so they can wear a cutoff their juice in or whatever. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think, and obviously just the competitive side of things, like you look at someone like Lance Armstrong, it just kind of consumes you to where it's like I have to win at all costs.
Yeah.
So it's a disease, and for some people an addiction, but not to get off on a tangent. Go ahead, Jerry.
I actually wanted to kind of go back just a little bit because we kind of jumped right into you going from basically track and field to jumping into kind of being on stage. What was that process for you? You kind of touched on I wanted this competitive aspect. Why not settle, but why land on bikini competition?
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of. I was kind of out of working out, so I went from track, quit. Kind of got that first semester done, and then actually, I don't know if you're familiar with Katie Hearn. You ever heard of Katie Hearn Gym?
No.
So her and her husband own a gym down in Louisville, and she was just one of the trainers, one of the numerous trainers I found on Instagram that was doing this 8-week program. It's bodybuilding style, lifting, cardio, just recomposition, and you pay for it and you enter this challenge, and you either win or you don't. But I wasn't really in it for that. I was in it for I need to lose some of this body fat, kind of get a routine in the gym, learn what I can do. So I did that, and then I don't know, just after lifting, started to see like my body develop. I'm like, oh, this is like, it's cool how we can manipulate our bodies with, adjusting our macronutrient intake, and I can grow, or I can lose some fat, or I can gain a little bit and get really strong for however long I want to. And so I just think the physiology aspect of it all is really really cool to me.
It's like a science experiment.
Yeah, like, kind of. You're constantly, you learn your body so well, and being in a prep is just something that it takes a lot of. It's not. Bodybuilding is so different from the powerlifting and the weightlifting, and it's a different kind of strength. Obviously you're physically pulling the 600 pounds, as opposed to daily you're declining the donuts at work, or the have to get your gallon in, and it's just you have to get your cardio in 7 days a week, like fasted. It was a good challenge for me, and I was able to place, but more so get there and be happy with what I achieved. And after that, it was just very exhilarating, and I just kind of became addicted to it, and now I want to excel.
What's the mental progression's been like? I know obviously something, especially when you're getting judged on your physique, can just come off as this is a physical thing, but I always have a ton of respect for bodybuilding in general, just with being so disciplined about timing and what you're eating and prepping and all that stuff. But maybe talk about how it's formed your mind a little bit around, like, just maybe carries over in different areas of your life.
Yeah, so I'm pretty shy typically. When I told my parents about it, I have a twin sister, I told my sister, my brother, they're like I'm probably the last person that anyone would have guessed would ever get on stage in a bikini and like literally put myself out there to be judged physically, just
That's
because
brave.
I was never like, I didn't do like stage stuff or any of that kind of thing. But I think it was really good. I mean, I dove in, but it gives you a lot of confidence. Not that was the only way to achieve it, but weightlifting in general has given me a lot of confidence, and knowing that I can manipulate the way that I look or feel with my diet and water and exercise. It's kind of a good thing to like feel in control of. Before I was kind of eating, drinking, whatever, my freshman year of college, so it was like I knew I was always going to feel like crap every day and stuff. But after being on stage, I think a downfall of it is kind of when you're reverse dieting and your calories start to go back up. There's prep clothes and then there's off-season clothes, because these jeans will not fit me when I'm over 150, so that's kind of hard to see. But at the same time, I'm at a good place where I know I have to gain X amount of fat to be able to be making like adequate muscle gains per month and things like that. So I'm in a good place, and I'm confident with how I look in all stages now. So I think it's a dangerous thing for people with a history of eating disorders or body dysmorphia, because a lot of people dive in and think it's good for them, and then it ends up just making it 10 times worse.
That was going to be a question of mine, is how do you separate how you look, how you feel from not your perception but reality kind of thing. Because if you go on vacation for 2 weeks, you should have this knowledge that like, okay, my body's relaxed, but I also ate a lot of extra calories. I probably didn't. My cardiovascular level probably isn't exactly the same as where I left. Having this realization that like I may have to take a step back for a minute. Like, how do you separate that for yourself?
I'm just so conscious at this point about what I choose to pick up and eat or go to do. So like on vacation, for example, I'll just try to get as much, still fun, but like activity and like a hike or walk the beach or anything like that really. But I've never had an issue with like taking the rest day. I know some people are like, oh, it's my 15th day of training in a row, like you need to rest. And I part of that's to thank for my exercise science program, because I like physiologically it's not good for you, but yeah, when I'm not in competition prep, I'll go to the grad parties and have cake or eat a donut at the office, or get a drink for my friend's birthday or something like that. But balance, I think, is the best. I mean, it's a very frequently used term as far as fitness goes and things like that, but it is so important to find a good, happy place in that, because I still enjoy life and I still enjoy food. I think I'm still enjoying my 20s without going out every weekend and things like that. but a lot of people can't find that balance or track everything to
Or
the
they go
gram
the opposite way.
year-round. Yeah.
They go the opposite way, where every weekend is, or every
it can spiral pretty
Thursday
quickly.
through Sunday is a party,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
So, and I know my early to even late 20s. I'm not exactly probably being as diligent as I could be. So, respect to you for kind of taking the step forward and taking charge of that in your life. That's great. Now that you've kind of had this first experience on stage, what's been the process of, because I know for a lot of people, especially trying anything new, doesn't matter what it is, that first experience is probably going to be one of the most challenging.
Yeah.
So what has been easier, and I think what is also maybe more apparent of a challenge than it was before?
So I had that first show in November of 2016, and then I also competed June of last year. So June 2017, where I got second in both classes. So we're doing
Cool.
better.
That's great.
But definitely from both experiences and both preps, I learned so much, and I think show day is one thing in itself, which is the whole look thing, is the makeup and the hair and this and that, and you have to get up at 4 a.m. to do all this stuff and check in and just what to bring. And I definitely have small things like overpacked or not brought enough rice cakes to carb up and things like that.
Right.
Or I was just not relaxed enough. I know I don't even remember being on stage the first time, because it was I just blacked out and was just I need to get off of here. I was just nervous. But all in all, it's been fun, and I think things that have gotten harder are just come with more knowledge. So I've learned more details that need to go into a prep, and I have a way better coach. I'm just a lot more disciplined now, because I know that I'm passionate about it and I want to excel. I don't really want to just place to have the trophies and to collect them and do the thing. I want to place first, and I want to excel and ultimately get my pro card. So having more defined goals in it, knowing who your competition is, knowing what height class I'm going to be in, and knowing that I can, obtain that first or second spot.
How often are you looking at the competition?
More than I should.
Mm-hmm.
With social media, I think it's a good and bad thing.
Right.
Especially at this regional level, you kind of know who's doing what. So-and-so's looking leaner at the gym, they're my height, they're probably going to be, so then you creep and all that good stuff. But not too much. I mean, it's pretty...
Do you have to be intentional about I need to put my phone away?
Yeah,
sometimes.
sometimes.
All right, I'm going to do the best with my gifts, and if they're better, they're better, but I'm going to,
Exactly. And also there are those gray areas where it's up to the judging panel at the same time, so it may be completely apparent that so-and-so looks better than me, but if I go up and hit my routine better and just present it better, I could blow so-and-so out of the water.
Right.
There's a lot of variables with bodybuilding, which is good and bad, because you can prep to a T and weigh everything out, do your cardio, and look amazing, but this judge may not like your shoulders, or
Right. So I would love to hear about your training, what that looks like. Obviously we're primarily a CrossFit gym. We operate usually more what I want to say, microcycles, almost like weekly type stuff. But are you doing more is it a 4-week, a 6-week, an 8-week, 10-week? Are you focusing maybe more on oh, my lats aren't as developed, so I have to pay more attention to that? Or what's your program look like?
In the off season, it's kind of more, and when I say off season, it's basically any time that I'm not in a
How many
calorie
competitions are you
deficit.
doing?
I'm doing 2.
2 a year?
Well, right now I'm getting ready for one in October.
Okay.
And then I have one the first weekend of November. So just 2 this season per se.
Sure.
So any bodybuilding season is just however many number of shows. Some people do 3 plus, just 1. It just depends. It's harder to do them back to back, because you want to celebrate after the first one, but you've got to
Want
keep.
some pizza?
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so right now I'm in a contest prep. So those are typically not less than 12 weeks. I'm in 14 weeks right now, but I will be 14 weeks of a prep. So whenever I'm in a calorie deficit, I'm not really focusing on compound movements as much. I mean, I'm doing squats, bench, deadlift, things like that, but my off season is kind of where I focus on weak areas because I'm able to be in like hypertrophy or like power building type ranges and stuff. But right now in a prep, I do 3 days on, 1 off, 1 on, 1 off. Like every just repeats itself, and I found that works really good for me because I'm training legs 3 times a week. Bikini's biggest judging aspect criteria is kind of glutes and hamstrings. So much so that they don't even like when females like move their hair off of their back because they don't really care. Yeah, which sucks because we obviously train our back, and it's not really. It's kind of more about shape and proportion in bikini than it is like, oh, like look at those rhomboid striations or something like that. It's not like it's not like men's bodybuilding. So yeah, in a competition prep, I'm kind of just maintaining more so and higher rep ranges, lighter weight, lots of cardio, lots of HIIT circuits, things like that.
So you're doing maybe like a 12-15 rep set, 3-4, sets
up to 20. Sometimes at the beginning of my workouts, I still like to do my heavy 8 to 10.
Yeah, you got to keep it fun. Like, you can't just do all like, I just have to do that. Yeah,
right. That is a big question too. Like, how much of it becomes work and how much is still fun?
Honestly, the whole cardio is work. I've never enjoyed cardio. I have to, especially after running. I'm like, how did I run cross country? How did I run 8 miles a day and now I have to do 30 minutes of cardio? And I'm like, I'm so bored. That's the work part, but lifting is always I don't ever dread working out. Like, lifting is always the fun part, and the posing practice is fun, and that literally just the hardest part is we were talking the meal prep, the actually eating the salmon at 11 p.m. when I don't want to, and
I want to talk about that too. Maybe walk us through timing and eating and a little bit about where you're at right now with food.
Yeah, so my coach, his name's Jason Theobald, he's real big into like carb timing, and I'm actually carb cycling now, so I have high days, low days, and then moderate days, and then I have a refeed every 7 days. Yeah. So that's nice. It's not a free meal anymore. Like in the off season, it was a free meal, so my refeed would be like pizza or like Chipotle or something like that, just like kind of untracked. But now my refeed is a 220 carb day, so I'm like, ooh, like extra rice or like extra rice cakes. How exciting! But so yeah, I do 40 carbs in the morning, 40 pre-workout, 40 post. On my low days where I don't train, I get 80 carbs a day, so I do 40 in the morning, 40 in the afternoon, no more the rest of the day. Protein kind of stays the same every day. I just get in 165 grams. In the off season, it's closer to my body weight, which is around 150. But here, recovery is so important, and the rest of my calories are so low that we kind of up that in a competition prep, just to maintain muscle while I'm doing all this cardio and whatnot. But it's pretty much, once you weigh the stuff out so many times, you know what 200 grams of egg whites looks like, and you know what 4 ounces of chicken or 4 ounces of salmon looks like, and I don't mind eating the same things every day. I don't eat the same things at the same time every day, or the same, like rice cakes, I'll go, oh, chocolate rice cakes, or plain, or caramel. Like, it sounds miserable, but I thrive off of routine, and so...
And you know what the result can be.
Yeah.
Through that.
It's rewarding in itself, so...
What about fat? Are you taking much fat at all?
In the off season, I stay around 45 to 50, which is pretty high for me. But right now, I'm at 30, and then on my low days are like 25. Like on my refeed day, when my carbs are high, my fats drop to 25, and that's really challenging. Yeah, especially as a female, the fats you have to watch because of hormones can get off and stuff like that. But everything's in tip-top shape right now as far as digestion and hormones, which my coach monitors. He has me do blood work and check my blood glucose. So everything's optimal. So I'm really blessed right now.
Yeah. How I guess have a maybe kind of the social media side of things. How do you? Because like you said, you started out. I think one of the first things you said was, I did this 8-week challenge of one of the many coaches you found online. So how, maybe just as someone who's been doing this for a little bit, that kind of is very in depth into the social media world, when everyone's putting on their best, it's their highlight reel of their day. How do you kind of cut through the crap for a lot of people. And maybe if you're looking for a coach, or you're just someone who, because you see someone like yourself on stage and like, oh my God, I want to be that person.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I don't know the work put into it. What do you say to someone who's maybe getting started in this, or maybe someone who kind of sees what you're doing and thinks, oh, I can just, why don't I look like that?
Right. It's a lot of sifting through, everyone. And I'm not it's easy to get a personal training certification, or a sports nutrition certification. Honestly, it is. But a competition, specifically speaking of bodybuilding, it's a personal trainer is not a coach. It's not a prep coach. Prep is a lot of health to take into someone's hands, and
because you could completely, like, especially females, you could completely throw off like reproductive.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
The ability to later on bear a child.
Right.
And
I know far too many friends of mine that have dealt with that and just haven't been hormonally optimal, in optimal health in months, because a coach has, I don't want to say the coach has messed them up, but they didn't know any better, and they're paying that person for their services, and they just essentially ruin them. But I would say just titles are one thing, but I would fully go off of what other people have to say, actual results. I know I looked for my coach forever. I felt like it took a month and a half. I didn't have a coach, and I'm doing my own thing kind of, but talk to them on the phone. If they can't set up an interview with you, that's an issue. You should be able to ask them however many things you want to ask them, or ask them to speak to current clients or previous clients. If you have any health issues, I deal with IBS, and I'm gluten sensitive, which sucks, but he's really helped me kind of get it all into remission. I was super inflamed and things like that, but he's got me doing no red meats, and I took all these different supplements, just essential oil, peppermint oil, random things like that I didn't know would ever help my stomach, but I feel amazing.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, and I think to what you're saying is that goes across the board for almost any service.
Absolutely.
that you're willing to undertake. Perfect example is someone like our gym. If you call here and we can't set up a time with you, or we're too busy to talk to you that day, there's a problem there.
Yeah.
So getting a car fixed, insert whatever business you're talking about, you need to go off. Those recommendations are going to be the highest. They always say, the doctor who comes in last in their class is still a doctor.
Right.
You need to go to the people who have actually gone to that doctor.
Right.
Right. So
I think it's usually for whatever reason, people just in life, if you have a legal issue, you get an attorney. If you have these certain things that you go through in life, people seek help. But for whatever reason in fitness, people are very hesitant to enlist a professional. So I think your foresight into being because I feel like some people would just be bullheaded or whatever, and I can do it on my own. I did one comp, now I'm a professional. But it's just so important. Even I know me and Jared operate the best in the gym whenever we're enlisting a coach or doing a program or following a protocol. You can't just wing it.
Right.
Especially when it comes to nutrition. And it's so amazing because it's your life you're messing with, whenever you're just kind of winging your nutrition and your fitness. Again, if you get in a car wreck, it's I'll figure this out. It's no, that's why you have insurance.
Exactly.
And you pay someone.
There's a
but it's
process.
not always as obvious. So I commend you for, taking this to the next level and seeking out a coach and getting your blood work done. That's phenomenal, and finding these little things, and it's really cool to hear.
I think that'll carry on. Obviously, you'll take that with you, even if you move past the sport of bodybuilding.
Right.
Who's to say whether you do it or not? Later on in life, you can take peppermint oil and have yourself feel better.
So I think it's important to always be learning.
Oh,
yeah,
100%.
Huge.
Speaking of, what are some of your kind of biggest things you've learned about yourself through this process? Obviously, you can get on stage in a bikini. That's one.
You mean
Conquer
internally?
fears.
Either. Either. There's certain things that whether it's you're training for a marathon, to get on stage, to do your first weightlifting meet, you're going to learn things about yourself, either a strength or a deficiency, that you have to kind of take into account the next time you go to do something.
Yeah, I definitely have become a morning person, where I used to like, oh, I'm a night owl, but I think that was laziness, because now I love being up before 7. I have to be up before 7 a.m. or there's something wrong. Like,
I actually, I've read about that. I think it has more to do with age.
okay.
So it has a lot to do with the, hitting puberty and going through this growth stage, and as your body starts to settle down, all the times that your parents yell at you to go to bed, or they're yelling at you to get up early and things like that, it's not your fault. It's physically you're adept to be up later and sleep later. And as you kind of level things out, it's easier to become more of a morning person. I was the same exact way.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be in the computer lab at midnight and work till 4 or 5 in the morning, and then sleep all day. That's just who I was. It wasn't that I couldn't really help it. But as I've moved on, I have to be a morning person. But it's a lot easier for me to get up at 6 or 7 a.m. and not have to worry about it.
Right.
Yeah, I forget where it was. There was like case studies now, and there were scientists lobbying to like through scientific data to start high school later. And like these kids are programmed to stay up late, and then you got them taking a test at 7 in the morning when in reality their body's not even up yet, or their brain's not even up.
Yeah.
And then the studies would always test like, hey, if kids score higher on tests at this time, and anyway. So to your point, that's true.
My brother's a freshman in high school. He's 14, and between starting sport or being in sports, he's got a couple AP classes already, and then he catches the bus at 7 a.m. So he's up at like at least 6.
Yep.
Probably not, but breakfast is one thing. But I know this summer he was up till 3 a.m. all the time, and I'm like, now you're waking up at like 6 a.m.
It's
and I go home to visit, and he's napping on the couch at 5 p.m.
And he's getting yelled at because he's sleeping.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm just trying to function.
Yeah.
Right.
It's crazy.
It's crazy to think about staying up till 3 a.m. like it was no big deal.
Right.
Like, just up all night, even in college. And now I'm like in bed by 9:30.
I know. When we got back from Ireland, and it was 10 p.m., but it's actually 3 a.m. And I was just like, I'll stand in front of the mirror like, what did I come in here to do?
Brush teeth.
Yeah. Take contacts out. Oh, that's right.
Get a list.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I think, to kind of go back to what you were saying, I think being a younger adult and having the foresight, like Mark said, to kind of seek out a coach is very, very big and responsible of you. I can't tell you how many people, we don't see it a whole lot anymore in our world of CrossFit, but we do see it from time to time where it's just like you have a semi-natural athlete and they just, I can do this on my own. Like, no, the best of the best have coaches. Like, you have to have, even if you're the most accountable person in the world, they're going to see things you're not going to see.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have a different set of eyes and a different perspective on what's going on in your life. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Even if you're talking about the business world, if your coach is, someone you meet with, over the internet once a week, doesn't really matter as long as they're giving you information, giving you feedback on what's going on in your life.
Yeah,
I think that's huge.
I think especially with the gray areas in bodybuilding where you don't know how you're going to do, it's not as simple as completing the lift or getting this time or whatever. You don't know until the finals show like how you're going to do, and there are a lot of people my age and what are they? I prep myself and I do this myself. I'm like, how do you gauge that stuff? Like,
right.
what are you monitoring and like all this? It scares me.
Speaking of what are they kind of scoring and looking at in a competition?
So it depends on the division. So there's multiple divisions, and then there's classes. So divisions would be like men's bodybuilding, men's physique, classic physique, and then with women there's classic physique and figure, and then bikini.
So I'm wildly ignorant. I don't know what, they all sound relatively the same to me. So maybe just dive in a little bit to what those are.
So I guess men's bodybuilding, the most obvious, the like Phil Heath, Kai Green, I don't know if any of those, big. Just they wear the tiniest little.
They work out a little bit.
Yeah, huge, beefy looking men. Yeah, that's the bodybuilding division. Classic
They're
physique.
drug tested, right?
They walk in and I'm like,
Yeah, no
crap.
way. Then classic physique is a step. I don't want to say a step down, but a division between men's physique and bodybuilding. They wear sort of looks like spandex shorts.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like the more classic era like Arnold.
Okay.
That type of look. It's I don't want to say it's softer than bodybuilding, but it's because it's
Not
just
as
as
vascular,
detailed.
maybe.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
as much size. And then men's physique, you've probably seen photos. They wear the board shorts.
Mm-hmm.
So you could it's almost
That's what I was
like
thinking about, not as vascular.
it's almost like your middleweights, heavyweights, super heavyweights
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the men's physique wears the board shorts. You literally can't even see it from the knee up, and I have
Can you
respect
see the
for all
calves?
bodybuilders. Yeah.
'Cause
So you're
oh,
like,
man.
okay.
Ah.
Do you train calves?
Need
Like,
calf
no.
implants so bad. What? Anyway,
Sorry.
sorry.
It's like they have huge shoulders and huge lats, and it's like.
Did you see Entourage? You ever see that Entourage episode where he asked what's his
Yeah, Johnny Drama.
Johnny Drama's
I love
walking
that
around the
guy.
party asking this, trying to find if that dude's got calf implants.
Yeah. I used to have, side note, tangent here, we'll reel it back in, but I had a football coach in high school who was absolutely a monster. Like, strict press, like 225, like military press, like no big deal. Never to this day, anyone in our high school saw the guy wear shorts, wear pants.
Uh-oh.
I mean, we're out in the summer heat, pants on. Like, we'd always like try to bend over and lift his like pants up and stuff,
Let me
but
see him.
we're convinced he had like toothpicks for legs. But
Probably.
he was ginormous.
Like,
Anyway.
how does this support the rest of your body? That's what
Exactly.
I'm like. Anyways,
So anyway,
Break
sorry.
ankles.
Go
so
for
is it kind of the same for women then? Is it?
Yeah, so they actually did away with women's bodybuilding like a few years back because it just got so out of hand with drugs, and it just was not a good look. It was not a good situation. It was pushing it.
There's just from photos and things, and I think that's where it probably gets a bad rap,
Yeah.
where it's like when you are physically taking testosterone
Yeah.
to make yourself that
larger
much
than your significant other who
Right.
is a male. Yeah.
right. Yeah.
But yeah, so they did, which I think was really big of the NPC because classic physique is so close to bodybuilding with women. I mean, once a woman is huge and
Is that
it's like
what?
straight.
Sorry, to keep
No, you're fine.
interrupting. I just know her last name, Bailey. Is
Diana Lynn Bailey or whatever.
Is that
Yeah.
what she does?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she's jacked.
Yeah. It's insane.
Because she's won that a couple times, right? Okay. All
And
right.
especially regionally, like there's not. I mean, my first show, there wasn't even one single classic physique female or physique female.
And that's
But
the
she's
that's the
jacked and,
smaller
like-
one.
That's the biggest
that's
one.
the biggest
now,
one,
just
okay.
because it's not, real present around here. So
No.
you have to travel to see women do that now, which I think is good because it's pushing it and
She wasn't gross, though. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
she was jacked, but it wasn't
Yeah.
like, oh, she's going to
yeah.
destroy me in a fight or something.
Right.
You know, like,
She doesn't have to shave.
probably could.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then,
sure.
so there's women's physique, and then figure, which is they also wear bikinis, but they're posing. There isn't really a routine per se. They just kind of do quarter turns, quarter
Okay.
turn to the front, quarter turn to the side, quarter turn to the back, and those women are kind of they're looking for that X frame. So large quads, large shoulders, large back, that taper kind of thing.
Okay.
Body fat's a
Small
lot.
waist.
Yeah.
Small waist.
They're a lot leaner than bikini girls. So then bikini is what I do. Obviously, we wear a bikini. But there's a criteria that recently came out because at the national level, a lot of bikini competitors were coming in so conditioned that, and it wasn't gross and manly, but just so lean, like such low body fat that there was glute striations. Like you shouldn't be able to see muscle separations in the bikini division. Whereas that would be acceptable in figure.
Do they push you up to that then, or is it something you decide that I'm in this?
It's something you decide.
Gotcha.
And at the regional level, there actually are a few girls I know that cross over, so they'll do bikini and figure at the same show, which I'm
Yeah.
split on because it's like you train to look one way, but you're competing on stage and posing differently to win trophies in a different division.
Right. Yeah.
So I
It's
don't
almost
really-
like something went wrong or
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
You know, if you're like, oh, I got striations in my
Which
glutes.
one am I better
Oh.
at? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
I'm under 3% body, which is insane.
It sounds like a very confusing world for me.
Like,
it's like
you got striations in your glute.
It's kind of complex, but once you just kind of learn it. And
what's the community like around here? Is there a community?
There is. So when I first got into it, I was like, there's no one around here and all this, and but actually I've met multiple people at the gyms that I go to, and just even from social media that live within the state or within the tri-state that compete, that I'll meet up with and stuff. And there's not really, I say that I find my competition on social media, but we're all like, I don't want to say friends because we're not like on that type of terms, but just like cool. I mean,
give the head nod.
You talk about your prep, how are you
yeah.
feeling, things like that.
Yeah.
But I swear up and down sometimes I'll see girls in the gym and they'll talk to me for like 20 minutes during my workout, and I'm like, they're just trying to sabotage my workout. But like,
I
know that they're really not. But
That's
it's
the worst
like
thing about the Globo gym. Like,
I'm like, I'm
no.
just gonna look at the floor, and so no one talks to me. But
you gotta wear like 2 sets of headphones.
Yeah,
like take one off, like still got it.
Sorry, can't hear you.
The cans plus the buds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the wireless. You get the wireless.
All
the distractions. I mean, it sounds very intricate, but at the same time, the reason I asked about the community, because that is a huge part of what we do here. I mean, that's probably the biggest thing is we always say we're more in the community building business and customer service business than we are in the fitness business, because that is our number one goal, to foster a place that people can come, call it their home, blow off some steam for the day.
Have their guard up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I was just curious on how that works with something that is so individualized.
Yeah. And I think that's a big thing, is there's not really an outlet for it to be as much of a community type thing besides show day, when you're all backstage at the convention center pumping up, eating chocolate or drinking wine.
Hell yeah.
Whatever. So that's always fun. That's obviously the best part. The day flies by. But other than that, I mean, 1 or 2 people I'm super close with that I'll get my workouts in, that are also either in a prep or have competed before, that know what it takes and can be serious. And like my best friend is also, we're doing the same 2 shows. We have the same coach. So we're eye to eye, with everything. So where it's not a community, but the relationships are there, and we wouldn't be as close as we are, I don't think, if I wouldn't, because I met her through this. So there is a community, but it's not like
it's just different, right?
Yeah, it's just different. It's
like you guys meet up for rice cakes, where we're meeting up for beers and
exactly.
pizza.
We're baking asparagus,
But to that point, I mean, it's just so disciplined. Like I really believe, it's probably the most disciplined sport out there when it comes to year-round.
Day-to-day,
like you're getting blood work done, and I wouldn't even dream of that for necessarily powerlifting or Olympic lifting and other things like that. It's just because, again, I mean, like you said, the criteria is known. Like you're like, oh, talking about glute striations and different things, and you're constantly doing your routine, probably looking at yourself like, all right, hey, I need to make sure I get my whatever, like you said, your hamstrings and your glutes ready for competition or whatever it is. So anyway, kudos to you for being this disciplined and pursuing this, and also studying exercise science. That's probably, I would imagine, helped with training. And
I would say helped, and probably convinced me too to ever get on stage, because I'm able to implement so much of what I learn into my own training and my own diet, that it's definitely been an upper hand.
What are you looking to do with exercise science? Is that?
So originally I wanted to do cardiac rehab after graduation, which is
Cool.
Still kind of plan, but like, side note, I'm a pharmacy tech. I've been a pharmacy tech for 4 years now, and after being so consumed in that, I really want to potentially go to pharmacy school.
Sure.
So after I graduate this semester, I'm going to stay at NKU and take some prerequisites and apply to UC. So
cool.
Fingers crossed.
Congrats.
Very cool. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Where, as far as the sport of things, where would you like to? I know you've mentioned a little bit. Like, what does it take to get your pro card, or obviously that's kind of the goal for you right now.
So in the NPC, so you have to place regionally. So like there are some regional shows that people will just do like I said, per season they'll just do one show or something like that. So if your goal was to go and become an IFBB pro, you would have to do a regional show and place top 2. That is a nationally qualifying show. So there's shows that are qualifiers and there's shows that aren't. But if you do a qualifier, place top 2 in your height class or weight class in men's case, you are qualified for a national show. National shows are in Miami, Vegas. It's about 5 a year.
I don't know what that's like in Vegas. That's just got to be a madhouse.
Craziness, yeah. So you get your national qualification. That's good for a calendar year. So say I place top 2 this fall, get my NQ. That's what they call it, national qualifier. Get my NQ, and I want to go take a little off season and maybe next June do a national show in Vegas. If you place top, depending on the size of those national shows, top 2 or top 5 get their pro cards. So if I place there, which is the scale at the national shows compared to here, so like here in Louisville I'm doing a show, there'll probably be about 30 girls in my height class in bikini, which is a lot regionally. But at the national level, there'll probably be 100 to 200 in my height class of girls that have nationally qualified in their own state or their own place, wherever, and are trying to get that pro card as well.
That's
so
crazy.
The way that they choose those top 1 or 2 is by call-outs. So everyone does their presentation and judges kind of converse, whatever, and decide. We all have a number, decide they want this number and that number. They'll choose a top 5 basically and move you around, compare you a little bit. You'll walk, come back. But yeah, top 2 at a national show would then get their pro card, and then you can't compete in the
So
NPC
like
anymore.
1%.
Yeah, it's very hard to do.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah, well, the
But
best.
there are those people that like do one regional show, and it literally is like one after the like 2 shows and they're pros. Like there's just some freaks that that do that.
Yeah,
and
there's
some
always
that go
those
after
genetic
it,
freaks.
Yeah.
It's just like you have great genetics and you got a coach, and there you go.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
did
it's just
what you wanted.
unfortunately that's
Mission accomplished.
kind of how it works for some people,
Yeah.
and it's not fair, but that's how it is.
Yeah, and I guess I'm lucky, and I'm 22. A lot of people that I found it now, so I know what I'm going after. Whereas if I would have found this like post graduation or like 26 years old when I'm trying to settle down and start a family or something, like
old.
Get married. I'm not saying it's old. Like I envision myself married, I guess,
Back
at
in my
26.
day.
Sure, that's valid.
Back when I was 26. But you know what I mean. If I would have found it later, I don't think I'd be able to justify seeking a pro card. But now I'm pretty tunnel vision.
Cool, that's
Yeah,
great.
It sounds like you love the process too, and I think that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Just in any kind of
not a
avenue
chore.
of life, fall in love with the process.
I noticed on your Instagram page you have Midwest meal plans.
Yeah.
You have a tie to them.
Yeah, so
Just a shameless plug.
yeah, Mike Mandel, shout out to Mike. Mike and Emily Mandel, they're married. They work out at a couple gyms here in Florence, and I've just literally met them through the gym. His wife competes in figure. She actually just won a show down in Owensboro a couple weekends ago. He owns this meal prep service, so basically.
It's also on Hungry Bros.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
the food
owns. It's
truck,
like a food truck. Yeah.
Yeah, so they've actually were at one of our competitions. We had them come
Okay.
out. That's when PJ was still involved with it. I don't know what that dynamic is now, but anyways,
Yeah,
they were there at one point.
Okay. Yeah, he so it's really cool. It works out well for like bodybuilders, or just, I know my boss is about to hop on board and buy some meals because I gave him one of mine. Just because he's got a 2-year-old and an infant, and he's like, I'm going to the gym for work and I'm taking care of them at night, or waking up through the night and cooking meals, whatever. But he's just buying like a lunch for the day or whatever. But you can go on there basically and order if you have any diet sensitivities, things like that. But there's different meals to choose from, and the reason I like it so much for bodybuilding or tracking food, or if you do that, is because it has like the macronutrients listed right on the lid of your food. So
Sure.
carbs, fats, protein, you're able to just track it because you know exactly what you're eating. It has the portions on there. But yeah, so Mike, we kind of collaborated, me and there's another gentleman up in Mason, Ohio, I believe. We just kind of promoted, and we get some meals every week, and yeah, it's a good,
Oh, yeah.
good gig.
Sounds great, and
I love
obviously
food, especially when it's free. Yeah.
it's local, right? That's
Yeah.
good stuff. So we always like to kind of round things out. Just a very simple question. I'm very interested to hear your response because we've never really had someone who does what you do on here. So it's just a very simple question: is what is your definition of success?
I think success is waking up every day and enjoying what you do, whether that's career or raising a kid or both, or I think all aspects. It should be loving every moment that you're awake.
That's fantastic. That's great. And where's a good place people can find you? I know you have like an Instagram account. Do you have Twitter? Do you do that whole thing?
I do have Twitter. I'm not on there as much. Yeah. Mostly Instagram.
What's your name?
We can tag you.
Yeah, at Shelby Supinger. Just first and last name, yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. Check her out, kind of follow her journey. It's going to be interesting to watch you kind of grow, and we'll be looking in October as you get to your next competition. So thank you for coming on today, Shelby. And thank you all for listening to Triumph Every Day. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, and everywhere your favorite podcasts are found. You can find us at TriumphStrength.net, on Instagram at TriumphStrength, and Facebook at Facebook.com/TriumphStrength. See you guys next week. Thanks.
Thanks.